of people, so please convey our ideas today to the people. At the same time, I want to extend our sincere gratitude to the people who concern themselves with this kind of summit. Starting from tomorrow, we will have the third summit between the leaders of both countries. This shows that the Inter-Korean Summit is underway as scheduled. First, I want to introduce the schedule for the summit. And the schedule is discussed before the conference. It may subject to change. On the 18th, President Jae-in will come to Pyongyang on 8:40, leaving the airport in South Korea. And at the time, there will not be any press conference. Then we will arrive at the airport of Pyongyang. And at the airport, we will have a formal welcome event. And from that point, we officially initiate the Inter-Korean Summit. And during the conference, we will have the visit to the university and children's hospital. And the special envoy group will have a discussion with the high-level people. And we will also have the people from economic cycle communicating with each other. In the afternoon of 18th, we will have the welcoming event and performance, and we will have a banquet in the evening. For 19th, the second day, in the morning, the summit will continue. And in the meantime, we will have the visit to the children's house and other things. And without any unexpected event, after the discussion in the morning, we will issue a press conference to release the negotiation result. And the press conference may concern about the measures to actually reduce the tension in the region. And the lunch for 19th will be a formal banquet. In the afternoon, President Jae-in will visit major facilities in Pyongyang. And the delegates may visit different sites, and we will adjust the specific schedule according to specific situations. And in the afternoon, maybe the summit between the leaders may continue. And in the evening, there will be a banquet of saying goodbye. And visits will be arranged to the normal restaurants frequently visited by the Pyongyang people. And these are the suggestions made by us to the Korean side, to the North Korean side. And for the 20th, there will not be the lunch for saying goodbye. And President Moon Jae-in will go back to our own country in the morning. And according to actual situation, there may be some add-up to the previous arrangement, and the arrangement now is subject to change. And as for the specific arrangement for the summit, we are in close contact with the DPRK, and this schedule is subject to change. And later on, we will introduce the issues on the agenda. First, improve and develop inter-Korean relationship. The most important thing is to implement the Panmunjom Declaration. Leaders from both countries will exchange their views on the implementation of that declaration, and the leaders will point out the future direction of development. And second, promote the denuclearization of the nuclear issue of the peninsula. We hope that DPRK and the U.S. can have friendly communication as soon as possible, and we will work very hard also to promote the denuclearization of the peninsula. Last, we will try to smooth the military tension between both countries and to establish a mechanism of mutual trust. We are promoting a macro policy including all these, and we will build a peaceful environment for the peninsula. And we are discussing in depth about the relatives and the people. And all the items on the agenda are as above. And for this summit, it has 3 features. First, we will have live broadcast. And for South Korea, we pay close attention to the live broadcast. But we are still discussing which part of the agenda will be on live broadcast. But we do hope that from the welcoming event to the actual discussion, we hope to have live broadcast. And for specific agenda, specific items, we cannot share with you. But I want to mention that for this summit, it is a face-to-face discussion to discuss the major issues by leaders of both countries. Previous to visits of South Korea presidents does not include very practical discussion on the first day. And for this upcoming visit, is the 3rd time. We will skip the ceremonial events and arrangements, and we will start the practical discussion from day 1, and this is very unique. Next, we talk about issues and agendas. We talk about reducing the tension and improving bilateral relationship. And if we can reduce the military tension, it is very beneficial to reduce the possibility of mutual conflict. And this is also conducive to the denuclearization of the peninsula. And for this summit, it includes denuclearization as an item on the agenda. Previously, both countries have not had in-depth discussion concerning denuclearization. For the visits of South Korean presidents happen after 6-party talks. Back then, President Roh Moo-hyun visited DPRK after six-party talks. But now we say President Moon Jae-in visited DPRK, intended to talk about denuclearization. It is very important, and we remain prudent on this issue. By far, denuclearization remains between U.S. and DPRK. U.S. and DPRK are hesitant to include South Korea, but now denuclearization has become an important issue, and all people look forward to solving this problem. But for denuclearization, it cannot be solved with only discussion and communication. The specific results will depend on how the leaders from both countries communicate how they decide to solve this problem. Whether denuclearization will be included in the final release of negotiation results, it is not for certain. And this depends on the communication between President Moon Jae-in and Chairman Kim Jong-un. And then we will have the Q&A session. I want to add something. We have magicians and singers included in the delegation of our country. Later on, the floor is open to you to raise questions. Thank you. Thank you for your sharing and introduction. The first question, you talk about reduce military tension. Will this be extended to the declaration on the end of war between U.S. and DPRK? Second, a lot of people from the economic circle will be in the delegation, but you have not mentioned the economic cooperation. What does this kind of arrangement mean? To reduce military tension is included as an important part in the Panmunjom Declaration, and authorities from both sides have made many discussions. And to reach concrete result, we are still working. Although we still need to reach agreements on certain issues, but the purpose is to root out the conflict on the peninsula. Therefore, the discussion is very meaningful. Although we say this process will not lead to end of war agreement, but with a peaceful environment, it will facilitate the signing of an end of war or peace agreement. For economic cooperation, we will further discuss the economic cooperation mentioned in the Panmunjom Declaration. You know that the sanctions are in place against DPRK. Against such a background, the economic cooperation is limited and restricted. Therefore, I remain careful and prudent on this issue. Therefore, we need to focus on the issues we have already got an agreement. So you talk about the items on the agenda. You mentioned reducing and relieving the military tension. In the final result, in the final release, will it include this issue? We say the DPRK and the US, have they reached an agreement on the sequence, whether denuclearization come first or whether the end of war declaration come first? The South Korea delegation, do you have any ideas on solving this issue? Previously, you talked about the three items, three issues to be discussed. And the way I introduce these three issues, the order is not related or relevant to the final result release of the summit. These issues are on the items of agenda to be discussed, but the order means nothing. Denuclearization is an important issue with close media coverage. But from our side, we are very careful and prudent on this. And for the denuclearization, what can be achieved on the summit, we do not know at the current stage. We just hope that leaders from both countries can have candid and honest discussion. And we hope that we can reach agreement. And through such a dialogue, such a summit, we hope to bring a better results to the international society. Good morning, thank you. Thank you for your briefing. When talking about denuclearization, you remain very careful and prudent. President Moon Jae-in has mentioned that for denuclearization to be really realized, he has mentioned that DPRK needs to give up nuclear weapons. And during the summit, will President Moon Jae-in mention the denuclearization process specifically? Because this is closely related to the declaration of nuclear list as requested by the US. Second is about the agenda and schedule. After President Moon Jae-in arrived in Pyongyang, after he gets off the plane, will Chairman Kim meet him at the airport? Previously, we say that President Donald Trump has asked President Moon to be a kind of intermediary to serve this role. Therefore, we say President Moon Jae-in has agreed to serve as a bridge between US and DPRK. And the US the U.S. and South Korea has exchanged hotline discussion between the leaders of both countries, and we know each other's intention and progress. For this time, for President Moon Jae-in to visit DPRK, we believe we can make achievements. And for this summit, we say that after the leaders of the two countries meet, we will have the General Assembly of the UN. We can say President Moon Jae-in and President Donald Trump will have a bilateral meeting at the time. So the thing you mentioned will depend on the actual discussion between South Korea and DPRK leaders and the agreements they have reached. President Moon, when he arrived at the airport, you mentioned, will Chairman Kim meet him at the airport? We say that the DPRK will not release in advance the schedule and arrangement for the chairman, but we look forward to that. Chairman Kim meeting President Moon at the airport. And for South Korea, even if we receive very important international visits, the presidents are rare for the incumbent president to come to the airport to meet and to receive the visitors. I have certain questions concerning denuclearization. Will President Moon persuade Chairman Kim to declare nuclear list, and what will be the specific issues discussed? And for the visit this time, will there be follow-up items, follow-up efforts? So you talk about economic cooperation, whether the people of economic cycles voluntarily come to DPRK. So in the delegation, we have the heads of major enterprises in the delegation. What kind of issues will be discussed after they arrive in DPRK? So for your question, first, it is about whether President Moon will persuade Chairman Kim to declare the nuclear list. I cannot answer that for sure, but I can say President Moon will convey honestly the U.S. stance to the DPRK. And for the people from the economic cycle, it does not mean very special things. We say in the previous two summits, we also included the heads of major enterprises to visit Pyongyang and DPRK. So for this time, for these entrepreneurs to visit DPRK, it does not mean special things. What kind of results will we get? I cannot answer that. I am still very curious. The last question. You mentioned that denuclearization requires negotiation discussion between leaders of both countries. For the missing relatives, and this is a very important issue which has always been discussed by DPRK and South Korea. The South Korea has put forward some concrete suggestions to solve this problem. And in this discussion, we may have one-on-one discussion between leaders of both countries, and we may have other meetings. Would you share with us the specific arrangements to solve the issue of separated families? President Moon has paid a lot of effort. In addition to setting up the frequent liaison office, we will help the separate families in DPRK and South Korea to know what happened in each other's countries and to offer more chances for the separated families to meet each other. And for this issue, DPRK is taking a positive stance, and we look forward to a positive result. On the 18th and 19th of September, we will have formal summit, and we believe that we hope that the leaders of both countries on these 2 days can exchange their views with positive results. But we cannot for sure whether there will be one-on-one meeting or extended meeting. But we will have very appropriate arrangement for these meetings. Thank you. This is the end of the briefing. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to your future support. So this is the end of today's briefing. Later on, we will have the video of the autumn. We signed the Panmunjom Declaration in spring. Now we come to autumn, so let's watch the video.